Yeah, speaking of bullies. So the first time I saw Sunshine, I was 6 years old. Now, it was May, it was nearly 8 p.m. My mother called me into the basement where we had the one-color TV. It was a Thursday night, 8 p.m. Now, if you know your television history, you're going 70s, Thursday, 8 p.m. Wasn't 99% of America watching the Waltons? Well, they were, but we were the 1%. And we were watching Sunshine. Now, your reaction is totally perfect for reasons I shall explain. Sunshine was starred by Cliff DeYoung. Cliff DeYoung played a folk singer who was making his way across America, picking and a grinning his way from adventure to adventure. The only one to accompany him was his daughter, Jill. But I knew from the title of the show, Jill was Sunshine. And Sunshine was beautiful. So I thought to myself, what this couple needs, what Sam and what Jill need is me. Joining them, going across the country, playing Mr. Bojangles from adventure to adventure to adventure. And I had the world's biggest crush on Jill. And so did my mom. Unfortunately, we were the only two people in America who did. The critics trashed them. In fact, they laid the blame right on Jill's feet. They said she was a little pest. She was played, by the way, by 8-year-old Elizabeth Cheshire. So even then, at the age of 6, I liked older women. She was 8. After 13 episodes, though, the show was canceled. Now, here's something really important for you people to understand. This was before Netflix. This was before YouTube. This was before VCRs and DVDs and even Betamax. So when Sunshine was canceled, like Kaiser Soze, she was gone. I did what any 6-year-old would do. I wallowed. I sat in front of that television, click, click, click. And that was it. There were only 3 networks, but I went through all 3 of them. I wallowed. Months later, my father takes me to the movies. That was how he kind of bonded with me, sitting in a dark theater for 2 hours. On the screen was Airport 77. It was the final one in the trilogy. And if you understand Airport 77, what happened was there was an airliner and there was a skyjacker, and they were on the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle. Long before he was a grumpy old man, Jack Lemmon was Captain Don Gallagher, who was in charge of saving the plane. And one of the passengers he had to save was Bonnie Stern, now played by 9-year-old Elizabeth Cheshire. I recognized her. Her hair was a little bit shorter, and she'd lost some of the sass, which would probably make sense if you're a kid on an airplane at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle. But it was interesting because when I left the movie theater, I wasn't wallowing because I realized if Sunshine was dead, well, at least Elizabeth Cheshire wasn't, and maybe I could understand what she was going through. So the next day, I had my mom take me to the library, and I cleaned them out on everything Bermuda Triangle-ish. I took every book on the aliens and the ships that had disappeared, trying to understand what Elizabeth had understood. 2 years after that, Fantasy Island. Now, just to show you the passage of time, Fantasy Island's on at 10 p.m. right after Love Boat, so I was staying up later now. Okay? And Elizabeth Cheshire, she's now playing a child psychic who's helping a mother speak to her dead son. It was kind of like Sixth Sense, but without the gore, because I think Elizabeth was a child spirit. Anyhow, the next day I go back to the library again, and I clean them out on everything about ghosts and the afterlife. And I realize that my first crush is turning into my first love, storytelling. Elizabeth Cheshire makes her last TV appearance in 1989, okay? She's on Highway to Heaven. Now, in this particular episode, stay with me here, she's 17 years old. She has a crush on her school bus driver. And she discovers that the school bus driver is happily married, and so she actually falsely accuses the school bus driver of, you know, that type of stuff. Which is crazy, because I don't know any time that a teenage girl has ever had the hots for her bus driver. But regardless, I didn't see that episode of Highway to Heaven, or any episode of Highway to Heaven, because at that point I'd realized that I was much more interested in writing stories and not just reading them or learning from them. So in 1989, Elizabeth Cheshire, she leaves television forever. 2 years after that, I get my first job writing radio commercials. 5 years after that, I write my first book. And in a final piece of karmic beauty, I want you to know that if you'd ever like to read that book, it's in the exact same place you can find the first season of Sunshine. Absolutely nowhere. Thank you.